Good afternoon, Stewart's Chapel. Brother Don here, and Don Counts filming me today. Devotion for Tuesday. We're at Stonebridge Park. It's a little windy and kind of cold. Anyway, I don't know why. You'll question, I have questioned, but Jonah has been on my mind for at least the last few days, and I think I would be rebellious and act like Jonah if I didn't do the devotions for at least this week from Jonah. So, 2 verses. Jonah chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. The Hebrew word for Jonah, as in English, is Yonah. Yonah, and it means dove. It means dove, a symbol of peace, a presence of God. The Septuagint, which most of you won't really care, it's the Old Testament in Greek, and there it was changed to Ionas. But where we get it is from the Latin Vulgate. And the Latin Vulgate was the Roman translation of the Old Testament. And there it was Jonas or Jonah. But the Hebrew word means dove. What we find in this passage is in verse 1 and 2, is that the word of the Lord came to a prophet. And the Lord said, Go and cry against, because their wickedness had come up against them. I thought of Sodom. You know, in the story of Sodom, the angels tell both Abraham and Lot that the reason they have come is because the wickedness of Sodom had come before God. Well, it's the same thing true for Nineveh. But that's not what I want to focus my devotion on. I want to really focus on this thought. You see, we, at least some of you, we tend to think that before God can judge or discipline a people, He has to tell them so. Well, that's not always the case. In fact, generally, God's judgment or discipline upon a person or people is usually only told to the one who is sending to tell them. Thus, the reason for a prophet. So God chose, of all of His prophets, He chose Jonah, a dove, to go to Nineveh. God doesn't go and tell the king of Nineveh. He tells Jonah to go. Many times, the chosen instrument is the one that goes and warns. Jonah was that chosen instrument. This person is never popular with the lost people. Have you ever noticed that? A few weeks ago, a young lady called me very distraught. She was concerned about a family member. I listened to her. Be honest with you, I should have been more silent. I should have listened more. And I probably should have told her to go immediately and warn. She was very much aware that she probably wouldn't be received well. I think that was part of her struggle. Be honest with you, it was part of my reason for my struggle. I probably caused her to miss an opportunity with a family member. But that's not the reason why Jonah doesn't go. You see, Jonah knows that what his name is. He is a symbol of peace. Jonah knows that he has been called by God to bring a warning, but he also knows what God's going to do and what they're going to do. And he didn't want that. The Jonahs in our life can be seen as a dove that restores peace in people's lives. But sometimes they can be seen as a bird of prey or as a vulture bringing death. So before we ever look any farther in Jonah, I just want to say to you, you and I are called to go and to cry. We can be an instrument of peace, of salvation, but we can't be if we don't go. Love you, Stewart's Chapel.